MMORPGs are vast, full of possibilities, and packed with so much content that it can sometimes be downright frustrating to get into the system. Even though modern online role-playing games aren't as merciless as their venerable predecessors from the early days, getting started can still be tough, especially if it's your very first time stepping into the world of MMOs. Still, there are a few games that you can consider beginner-friendly. It is important that there's a kind of tutorial or at least a clear introduction to the basics, along with additional systems or features that make it easier to get started. Moreover, the MMORPG should present a red thread from the beginning, which you can follow through quests and level progression. The difficulty level when leveling and questing should definitely suit newcomers to the genre, and the combat system should ideally be manageable for beginners. Time is also a crucial factor, and how easy it is to be able to get to know the game in peace before having to join or form guilds and groups. Then there's the community overall. The MMORPG should still be played by enough people so that if needed, you can ask questions, trade, and find a good group or guild to join. This list is a solid and popular selection of MMORPGs. If you know any others that meet most of the mentioned points, feel free to share them in the comments.
First up is Star Wars: The Old Republic. This MMORPG is heavily focused on its story within the popular Star Wars universe and features interesting characters. It challenges you with moral decisions, allowing you to choose whether you're drawn to the light or dark side of the Force. All dialogue is voice-acted. Jaguna is an industrial city, and most of the industry there is owned by Nemo. Aside from the story, the game also shines with its companion system, thrilling endgame raids, housing, and PvP content. At the beginning, you choose from 8 classes, 4 aligned with the Republic and 4 with the Empire. After character creation, you head out into the universe and are greeted with a classic tutorial that introduces your personal storyline, teaches you the basic mechanics, and lets you get familiar with the world. From there, the story continues in a fairly linear fashion through the leveling phase. This provides a clear direction so you always know where to go next. You can play Star Wars: The Old Republic solo, especially since NPC companions join you throughout your adventure and can effectively tank, heal, and deal damage. The story mode even allows you to complete most dungeons solo. The MMORPG uses a classic tab-targeting combat system, which is somewhat more dynamic than comparable systems from other genre representatives, yet it still plays more leisurely than modern action MMOs. The game is a free-to-play title and is available on Steam, where it has received a strong 89% positive rating. While Star Wars: The Old Republic remains one of the most played MMOs on Steam, the active player base is spread across a massive game world. This means that leveling areas can sometimes feel a bit empty, and depending on the time of day, it may be difficult to get an answer to beginner questions in the chat.
If you see yourself as a collector, explorer, story enthusiast, or casual gamer, then Guild Wars 2 is a clear recommendation as your first MMORPG. The game relies on horizontal progression, such as unlocking new abilities like gliding, riding, or using bouncing mushrooms and climbing vines. These abilities help you access new regions of the game's massive world. You experience the story through voiced dialogues and in-game events like dynamic world events. In addition, you can dive into housing, raids and dungeons, various PvP modes, jumping puzzles, and much more. There are regular content updates and expansions to keep things fresh. Thanks to its strong story focus, automatic level scaling in the open world, and the horizontal progression, Guild Wars 2 is truly ideal for beginners. You are guided along a path, led through the leveling phases, and you should never find yourself in a situation that your fresh character cannot handle. In a classic starting area, you get familiar with combat and your class's skills. The fundamentals are introduced, especially in the combat system, which is more action-packed than in tab-targeting MMORPGs like Star Wars: The Old Republic or World of Warcraft. You can switch between 2 weapon sets at any time and use dodge rolls. At the beginning, the difficulty level is very manageable and you'll quickly rack up small victories and a sense of progress. This genre entry is also a free-to-play title, at least the base game, and it's available on Steam, where Guild Wars 2 has an 88% positive rating. If you enjoy it, you might consider buying the paid expansions. The catch with Guild Wars 2 is that some of the open-world events are designed for a certain number of players. Unfortunately, you often only realize this once you're already in the middle of one. This can lead to frustration, especially when you quickly notice that you can't make much progress on your own. That's a drawback, especially for new players who prefer solo play. On top of that, there are numerous currencies, resources, and item types that can overwhelm newcomers. Sometimes it's simply unclear what a particular piece of loot is even good for.
Another merely classic MMORPG is Final Fantasy XIV. Although it had a rather rough launch, it's now one of the most popular MMORPGs of all time. When Square Enix relaunched the game with A Realm Reborn in 2013, it was a bold and successful move. This MMORPG impresses with a fantastic story arc that spans a full decade, along with an incredible variety of content for all types of players. PvP fans may find themselves slightly underserved here, though. The vast world of Eorzea features countless quests, dungeons, raid instances, and an overwhelming number of side activities. Instead of traditional classes, you level up your jobs and professions using classic mechanics: experience points, level progression, skills, and gear. You can level all jobs and professions on a single character. With housing, a theme park of minigames, an in-game card game, lovable chocobo companions, and much more, Final Fantasy XIV already wins over the die-hard MMO crowd. But let's talk about beginners. Depending on which starting area you choose, you'll experience a different introductory story, which gradually draws you into the overarching plot of Final Fantasy XIV. To help you get your footing in Eorzea, the game provides features like the Mentor system, tutorial pop-ups, guild levs, guild missions, and the Novice Network, a beginner's chat channel. These tools guide you by the hand through the early stages. The combat system starts off quite slowly, which makes it easier for newcomers to learn the basics and successfully get through the early fights without being overwhelmed. The difficulty is increased at just the right pace, so you should be well prepared for the challenges to come. As soon as you obtain a chocobo companion, it can assist you in battle, whether tanking, healing, or dealing damage. And at a certain point, you'll even gain the ability to bring well-known NPC allies into dungeons, where they can take on roles that you might not be comfortable with yourself. The Duty Finder, Group Finder system is designed in such a way that you normally won't have any trouble finding teammates, even for lower-level dungeons or older raid challenges. And thanks to the free trial, Final Fantasy XIV is playable up to level 70, completely free. This includes the base game, A Realm Reborn, as well as the expansions, Heavensward and Stormblood. If you want to go further, you'll have to spend a bit of money and subscribe. On Steam, Final Fantasy XIV holds an 87% positive rating. But even here, there's a small drawback. You can really feel the age of the A Realm Reborn content. The early quests are plainly staged, the travel distances are long, and you may start wishing for a little more variety. Also, in the beginning, you have access to very few skills, and their cooldowns are quite long. However, if you can make it through the first 10 hours and are genuinely interested in the game over the long term, you'll be rewarded with one of the best MMORPG experiences out there. For over 10 years now, The Elder Scrolls Online, ESO, has placed great value on ensuring that you can enjoy the world of Tamriel, both solo and at any level. This is made possible by the dynamic level scaling system, which gives you access to the entire world from level 1. Just like other MMORPGs in this list, ESO places a strong emphasis on storytelling, with fully voiced quests and interesting characters. You'll often come across lines like,
"I'll keep an eye out for suspicious strangers."
There's something to discover everywhere, for example, sky shards, which grant you additional skill points, as well as small and large dungeons, world events, hidden quest givers, and world bosses. Once you've experienced all the stories and completed the quests, you can dive into dungeons, raids, or PvP content. In The Elder Scrolls Online, you can spend your time on things like housing, an in-game card game, levelable companions, various crafting professions, and many other systems. Every class in ESO can be freely combined with any weapon, armor type, and additional skill lines. These are all fantastic reasons to take a closer look at this fantasy MMORPG. There are even more advantages for newcomers. The developers are constantly working on updating the tutorial area. After completing it, you'll be taken to a portal room where you can choose how you want to start your adventure. The starting zone you select is based on your experience in the tutorial and will continue to guide you step by step through Tamriel. There are helpful features such as the Zone Guide and the Skill Advisor, which assist you in navigating the game world and in making decisions during your early level-ups. You can also browse a lot of in-game help topics to answer common beginner questions, and you'll typically find clear answers quickly. Thanks to the flexible level scaling system, every character you meet is a potential teammate. But ESO also plays beautifully as a solo experience. The combat is relatively simple. You can equip 2 weapons, but the number of active skills you can use is limited. Over time, you'll also unlock companions who can support you in combat, dungeons, and raids. While ESO is normally a buy-to-play title, there are frequent free-play events that allow you to try out the MMORPG without paying. One small downside: despite the available help systems, the sheer amount of freedom and systems can be overwhelming. However, the developers have announced that a future update will introduce welcome back features aimed at newcomers and returning players to help them quickly find their footing in Tamriel. An MMORPG list without World of Warcraft? That just wouldn't be right. Even though Blizzard's game has been around for quite a few years now, it's still considered one of the most accessible, comfortable, and rewarding MMORPGs on the market. Over the past 2 decades, the developers have worked hard to improve these areas, modernizing, refining, and expanding WoW through consistent updates and add-ons. The mix of quests, dungeons, raids, PvP, the upcoming housing system, and many other activities still works so well that Blizzard continues to confidently charge a monthly subscription, making WoW a pay-to-play title. That said, there are now more different versions of WoW available than ever before, from the modern The War Within, to the classic experience, to hardcore and seasonal worlds. What exactly makes WoW so beginner-friendly? It starts with the Exile's Reach starter zone. In this area, you learn the most important fundamentals during your initial level-ups, essentially learning by doing. The first tasks are completed quickly, and the tutorial messages are clear and easy to understand. Add to that the frequent level-ups, which bring new abilities and small victories to help you develop your own individual playstyle. The subsequent leveling experience follows a more or less linear path, with story and quest mode guiding you along. The quest helpers always show you where to go next. Most of the content can be easily completed solo, and if not, there are always guilds, and WoW's community is still very large. You'll almost certainly find someone in the world of Azeroth who can answer your newbie questions. If you don't want to dive in head first, you can start with the free trial version of WoW and level your character up to level 20. With all these different versions, there is one catch. Beginners are immediately faced with a difficult decision, and after finishing the starter zone, the next big decision looms. To reach the current content of The War Within, you need to play through certain WoW expansions, but which ones? That's something you'll have to figure out for yourself when the time comes. For a beginner, this choice can feel almost impossible. And no matter which option you choose, you're likely to have that nagging feeling that you're missing out on stories from the other expansions. But is that feeling really justified? After all, there's truly a tremendous amount of story in WoW. These 5 MMORPGs are, of course, only a small selection for new players, but they offer large worlds, exciting stories, and vibrant communities, so there should be something for everyone who has ever considered giving an MMORPG a try. To all of you who already have experience with the genre, feel free to write in the comments why you love online role-playing games and how your own start into the genre felt. What was the first MMORPG you played, and do you still play it today? Thanks for watching, and until next time,